Computer and Information Technology.
So before we forgot, ang ating attendance po ay present na present sa ating mga comment box at comment section sa Facebook. Ayan po, pakisagutin na lang po.
Attendance na
So,
kayo dyan.
before we go on,
Wala sila dito.
okay, before we go
Saka,
on, may I
ano
invite
lang.
everyone to invoke the Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request all of you to stand and make yourself comfortable. We would like to start this program with a prayer led by Kit Daniel Avania, followed by the singing of National Anthem.
Ano daw yung attendance?
Sa FB Live daw kaya. Hindi ko lang alam.
Let's place ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear God, we offer everything to you during this seminar. May we ask for your blessing and divine providence that the activities set for this undertaking be successful and effective. May we also retain the invaluable knowledge and learning experiences that we derive from this activity for actual application within this venue. We pray that you bless all the committees in charge, that they fulfill their tasks responsibly, and that the objectives that they have set may all be achieved. Your generous blessing would mean the success of this seminar. Grant us your divine wisdom as we go about our daily tasks after this seminar. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Kuya Joe.
Oh,
To
Yung
finally
attendance
start our
pinasa
today's
uli
agenda,
sa GC ng
pero bago yun,
salamat.
tanong ko ba, ready na ba kayo?
Oh,
Sa Google Meet, ready na ba kayo?
Ayan, mukhang
Yes
ready
naman.
na sila.
Yes
po.
Sa
Yes po.
Facebook Live ba, ready na ba kayo?
Oh.
Ayan. Siguro naman sa mga nagko-comment dyan, ready na kayo. Paalala ko lang na mag-take na ibibigay para sa ating end ng webinar. Ito ay para sa bibigyan namin kayo ng proof na makakapagbigay kami ng certificate sa inyo. So, we may invite Sir, the brain of this program, the Network System Administrator of Technological University of the Philippines, Cavite.
Oh, sabi ko baka nag-break
Our
time kayo.
instructor on Bachelor Engineering Technology, Sir
Kasi
Arnold
sinabi ko naman
Villeda.
baka nag-break time kayo.
Ano pa? Ba't na daw ako agad?
Wala naman. Sinabi ko nga break
Hindi,
time.
pupunta na ako dun. Hindi, pupunta na lang ako.
Hindi, patabi na lang.
Okay,
Wala na.
Doktora.
Ayan, mukhang wala pa po ata si Sir Arnold. Sir, andyan ka po ba?
Pinanapan ako, tinawagan kita. Kararating. Nung nandun ako sa MDB, nanapan ako nito.
So ayan, mukhang wala po si Sir Arnold sa ating meet ngayon.
Okay.
Ay, ayan na pala siya. Arnold. Yes po,
Thank you, sir.
narinig po.
Hello.
Yes
Clear,
po,
sir, clear.
Hello. Dinig pa ako, guys?
Yes po.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Dahil Aayusin ko pa yan. Para makalaya sa
Ikaw muna kumain. Okay ka na ba?
So, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen,
Hindi niya alam kumain ka.
my dear students and resource speakers, I am pleased to welcome you to the webinar on current trends and issues on computer and information. In
Okay.
this webinar, I recognize my students and
Kailan?
Bet 1. You have all
Hindi pa
worked
alam.
tirelessly to make this webinar possible. I'm sure we are also reaching out to many
Nagko-color na
students
sila.
as we are live via TUP
Nagko-color na
Cavite.
pa.
Thank you for joining our webinar, guys. A warm welcome to you all. So I believe by participating in this webinar,
sa tingin ko naman.
we are in the right place and the right time. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of
Oh.
ideas and the scaling up of good practices. I am confident that you will find new ideas and fresh energy from our distinguished resource speakers. I wish you all a very successful webinar.
Ilang copy nito?
Thank you very much.
So yan, thank you Sir Arnold De Vega for the opening remarks.
Ilang copy ito? Ilang copy lang? Isang copy, dalawa?
Hindi umabot natin na.
Hindi ko na kasalanan yan, ha?
Laki nga niya. Laki ka. Kita ko siya.
Sabi niya,
Laki. Sige.
Nasaan na yung sticker mo, Sir Art? Baka mawala nito kapag ganito lang.
So, ayan. And now, here comes the most exciting part of our program. I am now going to introduce our first speaker for our first topic, Walkthrough Python Programming,
Nakapag-attendance
Introduction
na
to
kayo sa
Python
GP.
Language. Our first speaker studied Bachelor of Science in Industrial Education, major in
Kaya,
Computer
Joe?
Education, an alumnus of Technological University of the Philippines,
Pag nga
Cavite,
tinanong ako,
and now
sabihin mo
taking up
kumakain
his
na.
Master of Art at Philippine Normal University, a Microsoft Certified Educator and a Certified Microsoft Innovative Educator, currently a computer technology teacher, a content specialist, and a content writer for ICT. Please all welcome Mr. Ruel Lucero Marquina.
Dahil
Hello everyone. Thank you for the very generous
isang beses na sa
introduction.
isang buwan.
So I'd like to thank first the organizers of this webinar, especially Sir Arnold De Vega. Actually, he's a
Sino kinausap mo si
Lego fan din. So I'm really excited to share my expertise regarding this matter. Especially, I'm helping my brothers and sisters dahil nga alumni ako ng
Lagi daw ba
TUP
kayong
Cavite.
ganyan? Wala. Sabi ko,
So
as of
please
now, ngayon ko lang
allow me to
napansin
share
na
my
ano,
presentation.
hindi kayo dito nag-break time. Sabi ko, nag-break time lang ata kayo. Yun lang. Tapos, ganun ba? Saka alas 12 naman eh. Diba?
Is it visible on your end?
Sabi
Yes,
ko
sir,
kami,
yes, sir.
nakaganyan ako. Sabi ko,
Okay, so this will be a walkthrough of Python programming. Now, with the time allotted, so parang magiging lang siya, parang magiging quick tour about Python programming. So most likely, it will just encompass discussions regarding how can I entice you in learning the Python programming. Sino sa inyo may mga background na sa Python?
ha?
Sino na? Raise of hands. Sino may background sa Python? Okay, I see there rings. Okay, so Kit, si Renz. Okay, marami-rami. Is that the first programming language na natutunan niya? Or you have other programming languages apart from Python?
First po, sir.
First programming language.
Yes.
Okay. So medyo may medyo shaky yung magiging idea natin with regards sa Python. One thing I really appreciate about being a TUPC student, so I graduated in TUP BS in computer, is the fundamentals. I really love the way TUPC build the fundamentals for every subject. Like for example, for programming,
So wala
I'm not
pang
an IT, although
sir.
I graduated
Wala
MIT,
pang
Master Information Technology, but I cannot consider myself as a really an IT guy na parang when you ask me to do some programs like that, I will be the one I'll be pushing myself I'll be putting myself forward na maggawa ng mga ganito ganyan. Actually, just to share, when I enrolled in MIT, mga klase ko sa MIT were computer engineer, BSIT, BSCS, so parang sa level ng school I mean nung pinanggalingang course, medyo dehado ako kasi most of the part ng aking pagiging college or pagiging undergrad is more dedicated on education. But what I'm very proud of with the TUP's education is when they build the fundamentals. I mean, they know how to work with the program, they know how to do this and do that, but the reasons behind it, the things that sticks, kung bakit kailangan mo gamitin yan, kung bakit kailangan mong gawin yan, yun medyo nagminis sila. Yun naman yung lamang na lamang natin sa TUP. Kaya nga sabi ko, maganda yung level ng programming natin pagdating sa TUP. So this will be just a walkthrough or a very quick
gutom
tour.
lang yan, Remy.
So for this discussion, we'll be covering Python in its history, applications of Python programming, advantages of using Python, and disadvantages of using Python. Okay. Now, sa aking presentation, makikita nyo, merong akong, you see the logo, that's a bit, ano nga ba tawag dito? It's a Bitmoji, di ba? Naumuso yan dati na Bitmoji. Now, inside my presentation, may makikita kayo version ng Bitmoji ko. I hope you're seeing it, yung medyo malabong version ng aking Bitmoji. Now, I would like to ask help from the organizers. Ngayon, halimbawa, nakita nyo na sa slide, merong watermark ng Bitmoji ko. Please comment, ano bang pwede ko i-comment dyan? TUPC. So, yung mga organizers, please take note kung sino yung unang-unang participant na kapag comment ng TUPC, and then we'll be rewarding them. Meron tayong rewards. Makakapag-comment ng TUPC kapag nakita yung watermark, the one you're seeing here. Okay, yung medyo malabong Bitmoji. Okay? Malinaw ba yung instruction? Malinaw?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yung organizers, paki-take note sa ating chat box kung sino yung unang-unang magsasabi ng TUPC. Okay, then later, you will ask for the numbers and then send me the numbers so that I can send the loads. Okay. Now, so these are the topics covered. So I will start with may encourage na mag-aral ng Python, no? So first slide, this will be. So
Justin,
my first
nag-comment
slide
agad
is the Python salary, yung Python developer salary in the Philippines, no? Ito yung average salary na kinikita ng isang Python developer. Ito ay sa Pilipinas, ha? I don't have to take note about the salary outside the Philippines kasi alam naman natin, usually, Pilipinas ang pinakamababa ang salary. So, knowing for a fact na ang isang Python developer sa kumikita ng 621,000, 662,000 a year, so napakalaki na yan. That's around 51,801 monthly, no? Sa DepEd, I'm also teaching in DepEd, sweldo na yan ng mga supervisor namin. But this is an entry level for Python developer, no? Okay. Another motivation. Okay, I'm also teaching in MIT International School. Okay. Now, it's a part of the international standards for the Next Generation Science Standards, and the IST, ang programming ay included or embedded sa STEM programs. No? Now, for the MIT International School, I'm very privileged to have the opportunity to design a curriculum for them. Okay, it was approved internationally, yung curriculum na ginawa ko for them, at included ang Python sa aming curriculum. No? Teka, babalik ako sa chat box kasi may tatanong ako. Okay. Tahan nyo, ang ino-offer namin, kasama na ba yung organizer sa reward? O sabagay, pwede kasi hindi ko naman sinend yung PowerPoint sa inyo in advance so wala kayong idea. Pwede naman. Okay. Hulaan nyo kung anong grade level ang nagpa-Python sa amin sa MIT International School. Grade 11, sabi ni Isaac. O sige, sino makakahula ng tama? Bibigyan ko rin. Sabi ni Mariel, grade 6. Obana, grade 6. 6. O, bibilang ako ha. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, naku, patay tayo dyan. Walang tumama. Uy, meron umabol. Si John Francis Pakingan. Actually, sa amin, sa MIT International School, ang grade 4 ay nagpa-Python. Paniwala kayo sa hindi, we are offering Python for our grade 4 students. Nagde-data analytics na sila, and that is a part of the NGSS standards, meaning internationally, pang-elementary ang Python. Pang-elementary siya, no? Parang beginner language talaga siya. Now, in my design of my curriculum, although sabi naman sa NGSS, basta elementary but when I designed the curriculum for MIT International School, I pushed it na gawing grade 4. Why? Kasi yung early level namin, actually our programming, yung program namin for programming starts as early as grade 2. Grade 2 pa lang, meron na kaming programming, no? Nag-ano sila, nagba-block programming. Alam mo yung, are you familiar with Scratch? Sino familiar with Scratch? Scratch is you don't have to code. All you have to do is to interlock yung mga blocks. And then yung mga blocks, they function as statements in programming. Yan, gumagawa na ng grade 2 at grade 3 namin. They're using Scratch for grade 2 and then M-block for grade 3. Then pagdating ng grade 4, yes, drag and drop. Drag and drop siya, drag and drop. Actually, nung na-encounter ko nga siya, isip ko na dapat lagi kapag mayroong programming course, inuunahan muna ng block programming. Kasi the idea is para mawala ba yung complexities, yung takot mo sa programming. Kasi especially yung mga nagpapasok sa college, pag nalaman mo na programming yan, so ang mangyayari medyo nakakatakot kasi yung structure and then nakakatakot yung logic formulation. But if you start with programming language that is a bit less intimidating, like the block programming, Scratch, okay, Scratch, I'll put it in the chat box. Scratch, pwedeng gamitin yan. Scratch, pwede rin yung M-block. Okay, pwede yung M-block, ginagamit din namin yan. So if you want to learn the fundamentals of programming, you work with Scratch and M-block. Napakadali niyan. Pero yung nagagawa, it's a very good simulation of an actual programming language. Yun nga lang, hindi mo kailangan i-type yung mga source code. It's already written in a block. You just have to interconnect. Now, going back to my discussion, kasi gusto ko ang mga bata mag-focus sila sa logic formulation. Huwag silang mag-focus doon sa mga errors, doon sa mga, kasi nakakatakot. For example, my grade 11 are actually working with Java. The GUI Java na naka-Java GUI na sila. Pag nag-e-error, nararattle sila Ako nararattle din minsan. Nararattle din kapag lumalabas yung error sa Java kasi the code is complicated. Siguro yung mga nag-experience ng programming language, I started programming at C++, yung Turbo C++ pa. Alam yung tipong ang error mo separator lang or comma, no? Nag-e-error, ang daming line of codes indicating error for your program, and yet hindi mo siya ma-detect. Yun pala naman, ang error lang ay separator. Now, the good thing about Python, nililesen niya yung complications na yon. So, ang mga learners, nagpo-focus sila sa pag-create ng logic o sa pag-formulate ng logic. So doon, that's why I decided to have it as grade 4 kasi based programming So yun. So we work with Python. What I mean is, at this for this slide is, ganun kadali ang Python to the point na even grade 4 students were able to learn it. Ganun siya kadali. Ganun kadali siya. Especially nasa tayo, nasa pandemic stage tayo, nasa era tayo ng pandemic ngayon, mas mahirap ang pagtuturo, pero my students were able to learn Python. Ibig sabihin, ganun siya kadali. Ganun siya ka-user-friendly. Sabi ko nga kanina, formulation, mas magtatagal ka sa magtatagal ka sa pag-iisip kung paano mo siya isosolve. Unlike other programming languages na alam mo na yung paraan ng pagsosolve, pero yung pag-structure ng program mo is difficult. Like for example, sabi ko nga yung Java, if you'll be dealing with classes, inheritance, encapsulation, medyo madugo sa thinking. So I start my text programming with Python. Proceed. So what is Python? Okay, so what is Python? Okay, Python is a widely used general purpose high-level programming language. Okay, it was designed by Brusum in 1991 and later developed by Python Software Foundation. Okay, now alam ko naman yung mga nag-aaral na ng computer programming language, you know the difference between a low-level and a high-level programming language. What is a high-level programming language? Okay, I'll start with general purpose muna. General purpose meaning there's a lot of things that you can do. Okay, so parang very flexible programming language. You can design mobile applications, web application, desktop application. Okay, you can put it in automated devices, yung mga scanner, yan, pwede yan. General purpose, marami siyang pwedeng paglagyan. Now, how about high-level programming language? What is high-level programming? Anyone? Raise of hands kung sino ang nakakaalam ng high-level. Pakinggan, yes, Java is an example of a high-level programming language. But what is high-level programming language? Parang walang kasagot. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige, quick answer lang to the high level and low level. Kasi may dalawa na low level at saka high level. Low level is like you're communicating to the device. Okay, ang masusunod sa syntax ay device. I remember way back in TUP, we have this subject na microprocessor. Okay, I don't know kung tama yung pag-term ko. Microprocessor. Actually, that's yung subject na at the end of the term, kalahati sa amin, nasa loob ng room, nagme-make up. So, nag-ano sila recover para makapasa. Yung kalahati naman, nagpe-pray sa labas na makapasa yung mga nasa loob. Now, gano'ng kahirap yung micro-P? You have to think you have to talk the way the machine talks. No? Ito yung, compared to a programming high level, meron tayong mga terms like print line, CI, language. These are human language na ginagamit natin naturally. But during the time when we're learning a micro-P, ang ginagamit namin ay source code ng mismo computer. So, for example, you can have 0000AF, that will mean save, 00 something done, and then that will be load, and then execute, something like that. So, you really have to know the code. Usually, naka-hexadecimal code. No? With the high-level programming language, ginagamit natin yung language natin. We are using the words for our functionality. Like for example, yung pag-i-store ng data, si programming language na ang gumagawa. Unlike when we were learning the low-level programming language, wherein we have to consider kung saan namin siya ilalagay. Later, Rika. I will delve with that later. Okay. With the low-level language, kailangan namin sabihin sa computer, saan naming memory allocation i-store yan. Saan namin siya ilalagay. And we have to take note of it kasi later, we will tell the programming language kung saan mo siya kukunin. No? And syempre, device yan. So, meron niya may mga memory burn yan. Malas, halimbawa, medyo malaki yung memory allocation mo, tapos tinamaan yung isang burn language, ay yung isang burn memory allocation. So, you have to go again. You have to repeat everything kasi may burn siya. But this time, no. With the high-level programming language, you just have to assign a variable, and then the Java program and the other IDEs, yung mga other integrated development environment, sila na ang bahala. Kapag gusto mong kuhanin yung variable na yon, all you have to do is call that variable, and then Java will be the one, or sorry, the high-level programming language will be the one actually picking it. Sila na yung bahala mag-pick. No? You don't have to care about kung saan nyo nilagay. Ang kailangan mo lang lagyan ng variable assignment, but the program will be the one to pick it up, unlike the low-level programming language where you have to indicate everything, no? And then you have to memorize code as well, no? During those time, almost impossible. Talaga kaming cheat code, na meron kaming crib sheets or codigo when coding. But with the high-level programming, hindi kasi nga ano siya high-level. So as long as you know kung ano ginagawa ng syntax na yon, no, yung structure, okay na yon. Kasi human language naman ang ginagamit niya. No? Yes, Pascal. Pascal. Actually, I stand corrected. Pascal is the very first language na ginamit ko for programming. Pascal, tapos nag-Turbo++, no? Ang kagandahan niya, nade-develop yung yung I remember my teacher, TUP, Ma'am Brenda, hindi yan papayag na gumawa ka ng program na wala kang flowchart. That's also essential element. Kailangan may flowchart ka. Before you proceed, bago ka umataw sa programming, bago ka umupo sa iyong station, sa workstation mo, kailangan may ipakita mo muna sa kanya yung flowchart. Kailangan makita niya na sound, yung logic. Now, hindi ka pwedeng, katulad din, ginagawa ngayon ng mga kabataan ngayon, they just have to type everything, trial and error, so nangyayari, ang tagal. Kami noon, flowchart muna, and then kasi isa ring factor yung limited din yung computer namin during that time. So yung mga mabilis mag-formulate ng logic, sila yung nagkakaroon ng computer. So kung medyo mabagal ka sa logic, bukas ka na makakapag-laboratory. Okay, now, 1991 sa dinevelop, no, Python. Noong 1991, ang dami ng programming language eh. Ang dami ng programming language na available. Bakit nga, create pa ni Resume ang Python? Okay, that's the next paragraph. It's mainly developed for the emphasis on code readability. Makalat kasi yung ibang programming language. Okay, I'm talking about other programming language in general, like for example, C#, yan, yung C++, makalat yan. Sobrang dami niyang laman. So, naisip nila na, okay, let's find a programming language na malinis. No? Mas, kumbaga, hindi siya maraming lahok-lahok. Marami siyang hindi siya maraming rekado. Pero, hindi naman to a point na hindi niya nagagawa yung dapat niya magawa. No? Nagagawa niya pa rin yung dapat niya magawa. Yun nga lang, less yung clutter or yung less yung kalat doon sa source code. Okay, also, a motivation is to ensure that the programmers can express their concepts naiikli. Tawag ko nga pagkadinig sa Screen Python, short handwriting yan. Pinaiikli. Siguro hindi natin mako-compare, no? Pag halimbawa, Python ang first programming language, dito mahirap. Kapag Python ang first programming language mo, ang hirap i-compare sa other programming language kasi basically, baka wala kang idea. No? One of the things that I really appreciate about Python is yung pagkawala ng separator o ng semicolon. Napakahalaga kasi ng semicolon sa programming, sa iba't ibang program. It tells the IDE that is the end of your line or that is the execution part. Ibig sabihin yan, kapag nag-separator ako, mag-start ka nang mag-execute dyan. But Python, wala niyan. So, hindi ka nagkakaproblema with regards to Python pagdating sa semicolon or separator. No? And then, again, binabawasan niya yung mga pinapaikli yung source code. Okay. So far, do you have any questions? Yung kay Rika mamaya, babalikan ko yan ha. Babalikan ko yung kay Rika question. But apart from Rika's question, are there any other questions? Yes, sir, yung basic, GW basic, yes, sir, pinagdaanan ko rin yan, sir. Pinagdaanan ko rin yan, Sir Arnold. Kaya nga, nung panahon nag-aaral ako ng programming, sobrang natutuwa na ako sa Visual Basic. Visual Basic. Mind you guys, yung mga participants natin ng mga bata pa, during that time, ang programming ang IDE namin, Integrated Development Environment namin, ang kulay niyan, black yung background, yellow o kaya white yung text. Mo kasi talaga napakataas ng contrast ng screen, so medyo mahirap. So kaya nakakatuwa na at least medyo elevation ng konti yung GW Basic kasi medyo hindi na masakit sa mata yan. So, tapos dumating si Visual Basic, dumating si Visual Studio, mas dumali ng dumali. So far, any questions? Meron ba? May tanong? Again, that's the motive, that's the motivation kung bakit siya binuo. Kasi parang sa capstone project, what I usually ask my students is, bakit para saan yung program na ginagawa mo? Is that something na pwede bang lumaban doon sa mga programming language, ay sa mga softwares na available sa market? Kasi kung hindi yun makakapag-compete sa mga softwares sa market or else or wala yung advantage na meron na wala sa iba, I'm advising na i-discontinue. Kasi ba't ka magagawa ng isang inferior doon sa existing? So at this point, yung Python, they made it clear na the reason why it existed is because ito yung purpose. Now, maging mas malinis yung ating source code, at the same time, mas maliit o mas maikli yung pag-state natin. Sabi ni Mariel, meron daw question and answer. Okay, sige. Okay, thank you. Okay, next. Next motivation. Okay, ito, no? Sabi dito, as of 2022, no? Python na ang most popular programming language na ginagamit. This is international, no? Na overcome niya na si Java. So, ikaw ay halimbawa, college student na naghahanap ng programming language na gusto mong mag-specialize. So, Python is a very good program. Kasi nakita mo naman, most companies are using Python. Okay? Next. Let me proceed. Sorry, nahuli yung ano. Okay? Nahuli siya Okay. Nauna si Pakingan. Okay, very good. Nakita niyo yung watermark dun sa slide. Okay, these are the companies that are using Python. Who are popular na company, na IT companies, they are using Python. No? This is just to name a few. So we have NASA, we have Google, Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Mozilla, HP, YouTube, Spotify, Quora, Dropbox, Reddit, IBM, and Cisco. If you are dreaming to be included in this company, it's a motivation na mag-aral ng Python because they are using it. Now they are using it. So it's a motivation. Imagine mo, siguro na yung mga top company na IT, ito na yan Ang hirap na mag-isip ng pwedeng iba pa. Okay. Next is what are the applications of Python? Artificial intelligence and machine learning, web development or back-end, game development, automation and scripting, and then search engine optimization. So ito yung mga common na ginagamitan ng Python. Wait, let me check. Okay, good. Okay, next. So what is data analytics and visualization? So usually, we are using Python for extraction ng information. No? In data science, in a sense na it can perform statistical calculations, pag-create ng data visualizations, machine learning algorithm, manipulate and analyze data, and complete other related tasks. No, kaya nga when you search when you search at Google and then you search for saan sikat ang Python, makikita mo Netflix. No, Netflix ang isa sa mga talagang gumagamit talaga ng Python. Kasi ang ginagawa niya, di ba sa Netflix, nagsasuggest isang palabas o isang pelikula, and then later it will give you suggestions related to that selection. So Python ang ginagamit ng Netflix para doon sa kanilang algorithm na nagsasuggest kung ano yung pwede sa bawat user. No? Kung halimbawa, mahilig ka sa K-drama, so the Netflix will be using Python to analyze yung mga pattern mo ng panonood, okay, para later, they will create a statement, okay, na sabi niya, okay, this person loves Korean novela, so we'll suggest them shows that are Korean. Ang maganda kasi data visualization yung it's very hard to analyze information. Pwede mong sabihin na ang daming tao na ang gustong bumoto kay Bongbong Marcos. Tama? Pero kung wala kang data visualization or hindi mo mapakita yung data, so parang mananatili siya parang theory. They might think na baka propaganda lang siya, baka sinasabi maraming may gusto pero in reality wala naman or kukunti lang. So Python is used for data visualization para makita natin talaga yung pave the way for us to analyze the information in such a more rational and a more logical fashion. Okay, next, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Ito yung sikat na sikat ngayon. No? AI and machine learning. Nakita nyo, kapag yung mga appliance may term na smart, ito yun, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So, ginagamit yung Python sa pagde-develop ng mga applications na yan. And usually, yung mga application na to, ina-attach to a certain device. No? Kaya mapapansin mo ngayon, pag punta ka sa appliance center, makita mo yung mga devices ngayon, puro smart na. We have smart blenders, we have smart microwave oven, smart TV, smart refrigerator, and all those things. No? Isa sa siguro mga pinaka-common na paggagamitan ng AI at machine learning ay the chatbots. The chatbots. No? No? Ako, I have a chatbot kasi nga naka-online learning tayo, di ba? Ang hirap yung part na magtatanong ka sa estudyante, magtatanong sa estudyante, ask the other student. So what I'm going to do is sorry, hindi ko masasagot yun, Arian. Hindi ko masasagot, Arian. Okay. So what will happen is, sa chatbot na ginawa ko for chatbot, so mag-identify siya, mag-isip siya ng question, and therefore the questions will be asked. The questions will be asked by selecting the question, and then that will be answered. So that way, nagiging responsible ko sa mga estudyante ko, no, kahit tulog ako. Kasi may mga estudyante, di ba? Kaya may mga estudyante, parang mga zombie yan, mga yan, isa sa mga pinaka-common na project ko ginagawa, chatbot yan. Chatbot at saka yung aking mga LMS, yung mga learning management system ko. Pang-check ng mga project ng mga bata, no, yung mga Q&A ng mga bata. So I usually do for AI, no? Hindi lang masyadong maintindihan yan Kapag nasa context ng public school, hindi masyadong maintindihan. Parang ang hirap nila i-analyze na, si Sir Martina nakakapag-create ng productive or sa mga bata gamit yung AI. So gamit yung Python na application na ginagamit ko, it's able to understand my learners. No, naiintindihan niya kung ano yung learners ko, kung ano yung kailangan nila, kung ano yung sinong kailangan ko ng support, sino yung mga hindi ko masyadong kailangang bigyan ng oras kasi they can learn on themselves. So that's it. No? Okay, another one is the back-end development for web development. So when we say back-end development, ito yung mga programs behind front-end tsaka back-end. Front-end is for the aesthetics. Kung na-appreciate mo yung ganda ng website, so that is created using front-end. So usually yung ginagamit yung mga CSS, yan, yung mga type ng front-end. Pag back-end naman, ito yung nagpapagana ng mga functionalities. No? What happens if you press that button? What happens if you scroll the mouse or something like that? So that is the function of the back-end. So parang siya yung nagbibigay ng mga functionalities. Words, yung front-end pampaganda, yung back-end, yun yung mismong function ng web. No, kung naglalaro ka ng game, if the game is created using a web app, yan yung characters mo, yung mga background that is done using the front end. Pero yung back end, the fact na napapagalaw mo siya, nagsushoot or namamaril or nag-earn ng score or something like that, that is the product of the back end. And ngayon, sumisikat yung paggamit ng Python sa back end kasi meron silang web framework. This is one thing I like about technology ngayon, no? Dati, when I was started web developing, web design tsaka development, we have to draw the website from scratch, no? Pero ngayon may mga web framework na. Na web framework, ipili ka lang kung para saan yung web mo, then meron na siyang template. Diba? Kung ano ba, gagawin mo siya para sa enrollment system, no? Meron na siya. Meron na siyang, pipiliin mo lang yon, and then lahat ng mga resources na kailangan, lahat ng mga tools na kailangan mo in designing a website for web framework. Kung ang web framework mo ay, for example, for marketing, ando na yung mga tools, ando yung mga resources, no? Sikat na sikat ngayon yung Django tsaka Flask, no? And ang ginagamit na programming language for those web framework is the Python programming language. Okay. Next, game development, no? Marami ng game ngayon ang ginagawa gamit ang Python. No, later I will tell you bakit no? Actually, dati napakahirap magawa ng game. Parang dati, sobrang hirap. Pero ngayon may mga drag and drop na rin May mga drag no? No, ang daming mga programming language na ginagamit para mas maging madali yung game development. If you have experience working with Unity 3D, no? Unity 3D, may mga asset na yan Da-download mo na lang yung character, i-animate mo na lang siya, ilalagyan mo lang yung animation sa kamay, sa mukha, sa hips, or something like that, and it will work. Hindi na katulad dati na you will write everything from scratch. No, dati, you will have to design the asset and then animate it manually. Pero ngayon, hindi na. Mabilis na yung pagpo-program ngayon. No, that is made possible by one of the programming languages like Python. No, leading nga siya ngayon sa paggawa ng pagde-develop ng mga games. Okay, automation and scripting, ito yung ginagamit natin pag gusto natin mapadali yung procedures, no? Pag paulit-ulit yung procedure, paulit-ulit yung gagawin mo, instead of executing it ng paulit-ulit, why not make an automation or a script that will automate it? No, parang halimbawa yung smart car. Diba, one of the functionalities ng smart car na very essential ay yung pag-detect niya ng mga objects sa paligid. So when it move, kahit an inch lang, ang gagawin niyan, magde-detect yan ng environment, detect niya kung may object ba sa harap niya, because that is a very essential information. It will tell the driver or the machine mismo kung siya ba ay dapat maghinto, dapat ba siya ay magbagal, no? Now, that scanning is not performed once, no? Lagi yan, paulit-ulit, every time the vehicle moves, ine-execute yan. So instead of executing it one by one, why not put it to a system, no, na nag-automate, na patuloy-tuloy yung pag-execute niya, no? Okay. Ito pa, yung mga ginagamit natin sa other. For example, yung may mga ginagawa kang processes like sa amin, when we are storing our documents, no, when you're storing your documents, scan. Pag scan mo, ang mangyayari, you have to assign a name to it. But meron akong isang program na ang ginawa, nilagay ko sa scanner, in-attach ko sa scanner, and then what happens is, if I scan something, automatically, the program will generate a name for it, depending kung anong type siya ng information. Hindi na siya katulad ng dating ginagawa ko na scan, rename, scan, rename, scan, rename. Ang mahirap kasi pagka scan, rename ka, pag medyo nag-move ka o may na-miss kang number, you have to change everything. Okay, you have to make changes with regards to the data kasi nga naulit o kaya may na-miss ka, may na-skip ka, so something like that. But this time, no, my application is the one doing the naming, the labeling of the files. Okay? Next, search engine optimization. Okay, pag ginagamit search engine optimization naman, ito yung how can you make your website more visible. No, more visible. For example, syempre, kung gagawa ka ng website, di ba? And then it's intended for marketing, syempre gusto mo, pag nag-search kay Google, unang lumalabas yung website mo. Hindi yung pang-apat na page, pang-limang page. Usually tayo naman kapag nag-search kay Google, okay na tayo sa first page . Parang kalabisan na sa atin na pupunta ka pa sa second page. Now, some companies are using Python for search engine optimization. The purpose is para nga maglalagi siya sa mga top searches, no? Aside from that, ilalagay mo siya sa mas magandang searching position is pag nagsa-search ka rin mismo, no? Ginagamit din ng Python for that, no? Kasi meron na tatawag na natural language processing. Okay? Parang dati, kapag nag-post ka ng picture kay Google and you want it to be seen by other people, what you're going to do is to assign labels to it. But this time, no. Yung mga modern programming languages natin, like Python, siya na nag-a-assign ng name based on what it sees. Kung ano nakikita na doon sa picture mo, nag-a-assign na siya ng label. Para kung may ma-miss ka man, no, idinadagdag ng programming language. So that is search engine optimization. Okay. Before I move forward, are there any questions? Para masagot ko agad? Mabilis lang to, mabilis lang. Okay, I think I can proceed. Now, bakit ba dapat gamitin natin ng Python? Ano ba yung mga advantages of using Python? Bakit kita ini-encourage na gumamit ng Python? Okay, saan daw ba ginagamit ang Python? Okay, this is the best time for Python. Rapid developments. Ito yung mabilisan na pagde-develop. No, tama. For example, you're working in a company and then immediately, in a span of 1 month, 3 months, gusto nila meron ka ng application, so Python ang gamitin mo. Kasi it will require you na makakatipid ka ng oras sa pag-aaral. No, rapid development. So pag sabing rapid development, when you're talking about development systems, kapag nagde-develop ng software, rapid is mabilisan. No, maiklian lang yan. Maiklian lang. So Python is the best language if you want rapid development pagdating sa application. Agile, pabago-bago. Pabago-bago, no? May mga changes. No, ito yung parang I experienced this with one of my clients sa Canada. So ito yung gagawa ka, wala kayong formal meeting eh. They will just set the objectives and then gagawa ka from scratch. And then isasend mo sa kanya, magko-comment siya kung anong maganda, anong babaguhin. So dapat baguhin mo yon, then isasend muli sa kanya, and from that changes, magko-comment uli siya, no, ganun. So agile yan, pabago-bago, mabilis. Agile, mabilis. So pabago-bago yan. So pwede ang Python dyan. Dahil nabagit ko nga kanina, less time para aralin yung Python. Next, beginners who do not want to work from scratch. Okay, bakit kailangan ko pa ilagay yung who do not want to work from scratch? I have some problem with learning Python. Okay, kaya nga inassign ko yan sa grade 4 eh. The reason why I assigned it to grade 4, gusto ko lang yung bata matuto ng wala siyang complexity. Kumbaga, hindi siya nagkukos ng maraming error compared to other programming languages like Java, C#. Ang daming error niyan eh. Ang bilis magsabi ng error niyan eh. Sa Python, very less. Kasi nag-aaral yung Python ng code eh. So, when you execute the code, gumagawa siya ng adjustment to make it correct, no? In such a way na iniintindi niya muna bago siya magsabi na there's an error on your code, no? Pipilitin niyang intindihin yung pipilitin niyang intindihin yung statement mo or yung syntax mo bago siya magsabi na may error. The only time na magsasabi siya ng error is kapag hindi niya na mas isip kung ano ang dapat niyang i-reason out, no? Unlike other programming languages, kahit high level sila like Java, konting keyboard, sabi ko nga, separator lang eh. Sasabihan ka na agad niya na may error. O kaya, actually, Java is a very smart programming language wherein nag-initialize ka ng isang library, hindi mo pa siya ginagamit, mag-i-indicate na agad ng warning si Java, sabihin niya, o bakit ka nag-import ng library, hindi mo naman pala ginagamit. Ganon ka-sensitive si Java. But with Python, ang ginagawa niya, iniintindi niya muna yung source code mo, and then find a way how can you see eye to eye, and then the only moment na magsasabi siya na there's an error is kapag talagang hindi niya na makita yung purpose kung bakit mo siya ginagawa or bakit mo siya ginagamit. Now, bakit nga ba beginners who don't want to work from scratch? Essential din kasi na mag-aral ng mga other programming language. This is an analysis, no? Pag galing ka sa Java, C#, sabi nga ni Sir, GW Basic, Visual Basic, pag nagpunta ka ng Python, ma-appreciate mo yung Python eh. Sobrang ma-appreciate mo sa Python kasi nag-lesson nga yung code. But the thing about learning Java, C#, and other programming languages is you learn the fundamentals. Alam mo na dapat may declaration, may initialization, bakit gumagana yung if-else, yung looping, yung array. Alam mo siya kasi you are dictating the program one by one kung ano yung mga ilalagay mo na yun eh. I-dictate mo sa kanya. Now, pag lumipat ka ngayon from Java to Python, you have the appreciation. The problem now is when you started with Python. No? Pagdating mo ngayon sa Java, hindi mo makita ngayon yung necessity. Bakit kailangan mo ng ganito? Bakit ang hirap mag-loop? Bakit ang hirap mag-conditional statement? No? Ang hirap mag-transition from Python going to other programming languages. Pero napakadali na mag-transform from or mag-migrate from other programming languages going to Python. Kasi nga pinadali ni Python yung language eh. No? Now, that's the difficulty. Kaya, siguro ano lang eh, parang ganito ang aking analyzation dyan. Ibibigay ko yung Python sa bata para matuto siya ng logic. Matuto siya ng logic. Mag-stick siya sa pag-formulate ng logic, pag-create ng idea. Tama? Pero later, katulad ng dinisign ko sa curriculum, later you have to learn yung totoong codes para ma-appreciate mo yung mga anatomy ng bawat statement para malaman mo kung ano yung, like for example, if you're going to deal with a for loop, bakit mo kailangan ibigay yung initial value? Bakit mo ilagay kailangan yung condition? Bakit kailangan mo ilagay yung counter? You know the purposes. You know how to manipulate the program. Kung magka-error, alam mo kung paano mag-solve. Kasi alam mo ang ginagawa ng bawat element. Sinorte ni ano yan eh. Sinorte ni Python yan. Nag-i-initiate lang siya. 1 to 10. Ganun lang kasimple. Nilalagay niya for 1 to 10 without condition. You just have to set the initial value and then the last value. Unlike other programming languages wherein you really have to deal with the anatomy. Kasi kahit yung pag-position mo lang ng counter eh, from Java or C#, panibago ka lang ng counter na namali ka lang ng paglalagay ng counter, so nagbabago eh, nagiging irregular yung takbo ng programming language. So for beginners, halimbawa, gusto mo lang ma-appreciate yung pag-form ng logic. Gusto mong gumawa ng isang program without thinking kung ano ang library, kung para saan ito, bakit mo kailangan i-import, mga ganun-ganon. So yan, pwede ang Python. No, pero kung hardcore programming language, talagang hardcore programmer, ay kailangan meron ka ring background with other programming language, with Java, other programming languages, no? Isa rin namang feature ng pagiging programmer yung yung versatile ka pagdating sa programming language. Actually ako minsan nga nalilito ako. Kasi pag may klase ako ng Python, tapos lilipat ako ng other language, nagkukos ng error yung pala, wala sa Python, pero meron sa language na yon. So, sabi ko, oo nga pala, I'm doing this code using Python, dapat pala siya small basic, o dapat kaya JavaScript. So I have to do that, no? Okay. Okay. Ano doon ba yung mga advantages? Free and open source siya. No, libre. No, you can make use of the programming language free. No, napakadami yung programming language. Actually, if you're going to search for training na ino-offer ng DICT, karamihan na training ino-offer na Java. Java. Python. Meron silang 10-day series para matutunan yung Python. Puro mga 10-day series para matutunan Python. Ganun nila ina-acknowledge yung Python. Meaning, isang napaka-essential skill ngayon, yung Python. Kaya most of the training na ino-offer ng DICT with regards to programming language, Python talaga. Python. Kasi nakikita nila yung gamit ng industry sa Python. No? Okay, next is easy to read, learn, and write. No? Ito yung comparison between the Java and Python. If you want to display the statement hello world in Java, you have to type system.out.print like hello world. No? But with regards to Python, ang gagawin mo lang, print hello world. Kulang ako ng close quotation. Dapat may close quotation pen. So, sorry. Should be a close quotation. But nakita mo, dito pa lang, sa instance na ito pa lang, nakita nyo na, ang ikli agad ng Python. Ang dami agad na wala. No? Kasi pag sa Java, you have to tell the console You have to tell the console that this particular procedure is done for something na ang computer ang mag-out. So that the program will produce something out. Computer going out. But with Python, you don't have to tell that. You just have to tell the Python program that, okay, print. And then it will display text on the screen automatically. Yun, pinakli niya na agad. Yung pa lang No? Actually, nag-work nga sa kanya kahit double quotation tsaka single quotation Hindi issue sa kanya. But when we're working with Java, issue ang paggamit ng double quotation tsaka single quotation. May mga certain lang na gumagamit ng double quotation, na gumagamit ng single quotation. And then nakita nyo, wala siyang separator. Wala siyang semicolon. No, that's it. No, ano pa? Same. No, paano kumuha ng input from the user? No? Teka, parang may kulang pa. Ay, sorry. Okay. Paano kumuha ng input from user? Kapag Java, ganyan. No? Magbibigay ka ng instruction and then you have to acknowledge the variable. But with Python, ganyan nakabilis. Sorry, may mali uli. Yung name dapat small lang yan, small. Although pwede naman yan, pwede namang uppercase, but part of convention, dapat lowercase lahat. It's just that si PowerPoint, di ba, kapag beginning letter, lagi niyang ina-uppercase. You see how easy it is to get input from the user as compared to Java. No? Sa statement ng Python, ginagawa niya na ang pag-display ng instruction at pag-acknowledge ng variable. As compared to Java, it is a separate instruction. You have to have a separate instruction to display the instruction, and you have to have a separate procedure to acknowledge or get the value. But in Python, ginagawa niya na yan. Actually, prior to this, kailangan nga meron ka pang declaration eh. For those who are familiar with other programming language, meron ka pang declaration. You have to tell the program that name is a string. You have to tell it. Ano ba yan? String ba yan? Integer ba yan? Whole number ba yan? Decimal number ba yan? Boolean ba yan? You have to tell other programming languages about that. But Python, no. Si Python, wala siyang variable declaration. No? Siya na ang ina-accept na yan. Regardless kung anong data type yan. Kasi later naman, sabi ni Python, later ipapakita mo naman sa akin yan eh. Kung anong data type yan without telling me. Halimbawa, dineclare ko yung variable as integer. I'm talking about Python. Hindi ko sinabi kay program na, hindi ko sinabi kay Python na, oy Python, ano to, integer to, whole number to. I don't have to tell Python that. Ang gagawin ni Python, titingnan niya yung mga susunod na line of codes mo. Ay nakita niya, ginamit mo sa mathematical operation. No, nag-A minus B ka. Without declaring kung si A or B ay integer. Pero nakita niya, oy, nag-minus siya, oy, nag-add siya, oy, nag-multiply siya. Ibig sabihin, yung nilagay niyang variable, those are integers or those are numeric. Actually, si Python nga walang pake eh. Walang pake kung siya ay whole number or decimal number. Kaya niyang tumuwi doon eh. Kay Java, kapag dineclare mo siya as integer or whole number, sabi mo kay Java, ang input ng user integer ha, tapos si user nag-input ng decimal number, mag-e-error yon. Sasabihin ni program, sabi mo sa akin, ano yan, integer, ba't ang ini-input ng user decimal number? Yan, kay Python hindi niya iniintindihan. Kasi sabi niya, madali lang naman yan eh, si integer tsaka si Python, si integer tsaka si whole number tsaka si decimal number. Kung siya ay whole number, lalagyan mo lang siya ng 0.00. Okay, kung siya ay decimal number, interpret ko yung number after the decimal point. Ganun lang siya. Ganun kasimple si Python. Meron siyang part wherein it really wants to help you in such a way na iintindihin ka niya. No? Hindi mo kailangang sabihin sa kanya lahat-lahat. No? Si Python na ang bahalang mag-adjust para sa'yo. Sabi ko nga kanina, the only time na magrereklamo sa'yo si Python kapag hindi niya talaga maintindihan. Kapag ginamit niya na lahat ng resources niya and yet hindi niya maintindihan bakit mo to ginagawa. Okay, ganun yun. Ganun. Okay, hope you're appreciating it, ha? Okay. Improve productivity, no? Kasi nga napaka-simple kasi nung Python codes, no, magpo-focus ka na lang sa pag-formulate ng logic, no? Pag-formulate ng logic. Kasi ang dali ng code niya eh. You don't have to put a lot of considerations. Kasi nga napakadali ng language. So in that manner, napapabilis niya yung isang trabaho bilang isang programmer, no? Yun lang naman 'yun. Okay? Magiging medyo paulit-ulit ako dito ha. Okay. Interpreted language, nabanggit ko na yan kanina. No? Since binabasa ng lahat ng programming language ang mga codes line by line, so ganun din naman si Python. Ganun din si Python. No? Pero sabi ko nga kanina, ini-interpret niya muna yung mga sinusulat mo. No? Bago kanya sabihan na there's an error within your code, it will interpret it. Find a way on how it can deal with it. Kung feeling niya, napaka-minor naman. Kung feeling ni Python, napaka-minor naman nung iyong error, Baka naman pwedeng later, i-deal ko yan later. Baka naman tatakbo si program kahit hindi mo i-deal yan. Hindi niya sasabihin sa'yo na may error. Okay? Kasi it can manage. Later, malalaman niyo kung bakit. Okay, dynamically type. Yun nga, no? Okay. Sabi nga kanina, hindi mo siya kailangan i-declare. So, it's up to Python to interpret kung ano yung nilagay mong variable. Nakita niya, sabi niya, hindi mo kailangan sabihin na string yan. String yan. Actually, there's a different integer and whole number, decimal numbers. But with Python, hindi. Kukunin yung variable, regardless if that is an integer or string or a decimal number. Tapos nakita niya later in your code, kinompare mo siya. Name is equal to Stella. Si Python magkakaroon ng idea, teka, kino-compare niya kay Stella na naka-double quote. Ibig sabihin, si name ay string. It's either a character siya o string kasi kino-compare siya sa string. So you don't have to tell the Python program na siya ay string. Kasi using the other code, nalalaman niya, teka, kinompare mo siya sa ano sa double quotation ibig sabihin string siya. Diba? Okay, naglagay ka. Num1, ang variable mo, pangalan, num1, ano? Num1 ang pangalan ng variable mo. Later, kinompare mo siya, is num1 less than or greater than 10, ay teka, kinompare mo siya sa number. Ibig sabihin, it's either integer siya or a double type. It's either whole number siya or decimal number. Now, dynamically type siya. Okay. Okay, Bash library support. Ito naman yung bad side at good side ni Python. Python, napakalawak ng library niya. Kasi nga, para mapadali siya, niligyan mo siya ng mga library na umiintindi ng source code. No, iniintindi niya yung source code. So, napakalawak ng source code ni Python. One experience, if you run Python, if you run NetBeans IDE sabay, kahit nauna si Python mahuhuli pa rin siyang mag-open kasi napakalawak ng library na niloload niya sa program. No, napakalawak kasi ng library ni Python. Actually, evolving nga siya, dumadami pa nga siya, nadadagdagan siya kasi nga, to support. Pag halimbawa, may isang programmer na tingin niya kailangan mag-create ng ganitong library, idadagdag niya sa Python kasi nga open source naman siya, so pwede magdagdag ng mga syntax. In that way, napapadali yung trabaho ng ibang programmer. Kaso, when you load the Python program, ang tagal kasi ang lawak ng kanyang library. Pero, if you're talking about the number of support, napakadami. Napakaganda. No? Unlike, if you're working with design with Android devices, no, yung PHP, something like that, you have to work with the API. The API is yung mga source code na kinukuha mo pa, minsan binibili para maging okay. Portability, meaning you can transport yung code na ginawa mo sa isang device to other devices. No, portability, hindi siya masyadong nagre-restrict regarding that. Okay, the next question is, nagpapadali na ako kasi tingin ko overtime na ako. Overtime na ba ako, Miss Mariel? Overtime na ba ako?
Yes, sir. 5 minutes, sir. 5 minutes.
5 minutes na ko patay. Sige, I'll be very quick about it. Pasensya na ha. Okay, I'll be very quick about it. Why not Python? No? Slow speed. Kasi nga, malaki yung library, so bago mo pa-run yung program, ang dami niyang niloload. Ang dami niyang niloload. Parang ano yan walang pinagkaiba yan sa computer na, are you managing your startup? Sige, idea lang na para malaman ng iba. Minsan bumabagal yung computer natin kasi may startup device, may mga startup software yan. Usually, yung mga software na i-install natin, nilalagay nila yung sarili na sa computer as startup. Meaning, pag sinabing startup, once your computer started, nakikistart na rin siya. Hindi matatapos ang processes unless lahat ng mga startup devices mo or startup applications mo ay mag-run or magtatakbo siya. So para bumili sa computer mo, punta ka sa task manager, i-disable mo yung mga startup. Usually, yung malungkot kapag nag-install yung software, gusto niya startup siya. Now, in this case, in this particular scenario, si Python ganun Pag nirun mo si program, nilaunch mo siya, or nilaunch mo yung mismong IDE niya, or the Integrated Development Environment, ang mangyayari, ilo-load niya lahat ng library. No? Regardless, si Java kasi ang pagkakaiba, kung gusto kong gamitin yung library na yun, i-import ko siya. Tatawagin ko siya. Hindi siya initially i-install. Hindi siya initially i-run. Nasa likod, nasa sources lang yan. Pero hindi niya nilo-load. Maglo-load lang yan kapag tinawag mo. But compared to Python, ilo-load niya lahat yan. Okay, thinking na kung ano mang gamitin mo sa mga library na yan, meron. Yun yung isang downside ni Python. No, ang bagal niyang mag-load kasi nga sa sobrang lawak ng kanyang library. Di ba? No? Kahit when you're running a program, if you run a program na ginawa sa Python, ganun din yun eh. Although hindi mo ginagamit yung mga library na yun, certain libraries, naka-attach siya eh. Naka-load siya doon sa program, no, medyo mabagal siya. Okay, ano pa? Memory inefficient. When you're managing memory, hindi rin siya maganda. Kasi nga katulad ng sabi ko kanina, if your library is very big, therefore installing it or running a program that runs on Python will require na mag-adjust ka o mag-allocate ka ng malaking memory. Malaking memory kasi nga parang ano siya eh. Ilo-load niya agad yung mga library mo. So therefore dapat hindi siya efficient in such a way na nakakatipid ng memory. No, medyo magasto siya pagdating sa memory kasi nga ang laki ng kanyang library. Okay, next. Database access. Ito yung common problem with Python, no? Napaka-sophisticated ng language, pero kapag kino-connect sa database, medyo madugo. Okay. Maraming reason kung bakit dyan. Kasi halimbawa, yung mga proprietary databases, yung mga database na nagsusupport sa Java na kailangang bayaran. Since Python is an open source, libre yan, gagawin nilang mahirap para sa'yo na mag-connect ng database sa isang proprietary database kasi gusto nila, ang gagamitin mo, yung nakadikit sa akin, yung nakadikit, yung mas common na programming language na nakakabit sa akin, na proprietary din, binabayaran din. No, hindi ko papayagan na kumonek ka or pahihirapan kita pag kukonek ka na ang ginagamit mong software libre kasi hindi ako kikita dyan. Diba? Hindi ako kikita dyan. Magiging mahirap para sa akin kumita. Diba? Kaya medyo nagiging mahirap. So, I think the way to solve this problem is to link the Python with the development of several. Marami kasi lumalabas din na open source na databases, no? Yung MySQL kasi nagiging nagiging very private na rin siya eh. Eh yun ang commonly ginagamit natin, the MySQL. So ngayon kailangan si Python mag-incorporate na siya dun sa mga napakaraming libre na open source para maging mas madali sa kanya na mag-connect. Kumbaga, the internal communication between the developers, kailangan mabuo yun. No? But for now, isa yan sa mga inaaray ng mga nagde-develop ng Python, yung database access. Ang hirap i-connect sa mga database. No? Runtime errors. No? Okay. Now, ang pag-interpret din ng error, medyo mahirap din pagdating sa Python. Kasi nga, di ba, sinubukan niyang intindihin sinubukan niyang intindihin yung source code. So, pag naglabas siya ng source code ng error, medyo ang hirap intindihin. Kasi, kumbaga, nag-adjust na siya eh. Hindi mo alam yung adjustment niya. So, therefore, you don't know where to begin when you're debugging the error. Kasi nga, siya mismo, may ibang interpretation. Unlike when you're dealing with other programming languages like Java, pag naglabas siya ng error, nagkaintindihan kayo, oo nga, kulang ako ng separator or gumamit ako ng double quote instead of a single quote. But with Python, since meron siyang internal understanding of the program, kapag in-explain niya sa iyo yung error mo, possible hindi mo siya maintindihan. Possible magkaroon ka ng conflict with the idea. No? Kasi iniintindi niya yung source code. So that's one problem. No? Okay, I think that's the last. So for summary, no? Python is a simple, versatile, and complete programming language. It is a great choice for beginners up to professionals. Although it has some disadvantage, we can observe that the advantages exceed the disadvantages. Even Google has made Python one of its primary programming language. Alam niyo naman, pag sinabing Google, di ba? Talagang matindi yan. So kung si Google ay ini-encourage ang mga taong gumamit ng Python, bakit hindi ka gumamit ng Python? Di ba? Ang advice ko nga lang is for you to learn other programming language. Huwag mag-stick sa Python. Huwag mag-stick. So, meron kang ilang time to learn. You master Python, pero you learn other languages kasi it will give you the fundamentals. It will give yun na. Kumbaga parang mas primitive, hindi na nga primitive kasi bago na siya. You learn other, parang medyo primitive yung function niya kasi it's highly dependent on the user, pero it will help you build the fundamentals. Yun yung point, no? Now, okay, thank you for attending. Okay, paki-screenshot ito para kung meron kayong mga tanong outside this discussion, pwede nyo akong tanungin. No? Okay, I think I'm done. Mariel, I'm done. Thank you.
Ayun, thank you po, Mr. Ruel, for that a wonderful talk. Very informative po yan. Ayan. Alumno si Sir ng TUPC. So, thank you, sir, again ulit. We are now going to begin answering the questions submitted during the first topic presentations. As a reminder, you can still submit questions through the message box, and for our live viewers on Facebook, type it down on the comment section. So, where's my partner kaya? Nasaan kaya si Francis? Hello, Francis?
Kung may tanong pa kayo, comment lang kayo dyan sa comment box natin.
Ayan. Katulad, may... Ayan.
Uy, si Mariel, estudyante ko yan ah. Estudyante ko sa Perpetual. Si Mariel Joy, estudyante ko sa Perpetual.
Sir, meron na po tayong unang question na galing sa FB Live. What do you think about JavaScript and PHP, sir?
A programming language is designed for a particular purpose. No? If you're thinking of designing or developing applications na web, yan, PHP ka, tsaka JavaScript ka. No? Ano yan parang it's a tool na gagamitin mo for a certain purpose. No? For a certain purpose. No? Kung tatanungin mo sa akin kung ano yung pinaka-ideal na application for this, pinaka-ideal na tool for this particular application, alamin mo muna kung para saan design yung programming language niya. Kasi nag-i-interact lang din siya So kung halimbawa, PHP, nakaano yan para sa mga web development yan sa mga web app yan Kung yun ang dahilan kung bakit siya dinevelop, to cater those applications, di syempre, dun mo siya gamitin. Diba? But there are other programming languages like Python na pwede mong gamitin kahit saan. Marami kang pwede. Sabi nga, general purpose siya Pwede mo siyang gamitin kahit saan. But again, if you're talking about the ease of pagiging madali ng paggawa ng application, hanapin mo yung, search mo kay Google, ano ang pinakamagandang tool para dito. Ganyan. Isasuggest sa iyo PHP. Yan, ganyan. Kasi yung mga paggawa ng forms, yan, di ba? I remember during the time when I was in college, very primitive pa yung aming programming language during that time. HTML, imagine. HTML. Gagawa ka ng website HTML. Ang tagal. Okay, ngayon. Sabi sa akin ng principal ko, sir, gumawa ka ng website para sa atin. Hindi na ako mag-HTML. Ang dugo niyan Sir, gusto mo maganda? Gusto mo magandang program? Gusto mo magandang website? Gagawin kayo sa Dreamweaver. Diba? Yung Dreamweaver kasi aesthetics Diba? Tapos mag-design ako kung ano pwede kong gamitin backend. No, but during the time when I was in TUPC, I have to really design everything from scratch. No? Natutuwa na ako pag nakakita ko ng text na gumagana. Sino nakapag-HTML na dito? Nakapag-HTML. Diba? Tuwan-tuwa na tayo pag yung nag-marquee, yung text gumalaw. Tuwan-tuwa tayo dyan. Pag nag-change ng color, tuwan-tuwa tayo ngayon. Ngayon, hindi mo na gagawin yan. Magsi-CSS ka na. Actually, hindi ka na nga gagamit ng Dreamweaver din Di ba hindi ka na mag-Dreamweaver nga Mag-ano ka, Wix. Mag-Wix ka. Wix, Google Sites. Diba? Ayan na yun. So I think that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you po. For our next question, it is from Lyra Lingad. Is it feasible to develop an Android application completely in Python? I heard po kasi Android's preferred language of implementation in Java. Ayan.
Yes, actually, tama yung sinabi mo, no? Android is embedded in Java. Talaga naka-ankla siya talaga kay Java. Kaya pag nagde-develop ka ng Android, yung mga sikat na mga IDE para dyan, Eclipse, Android Studio, at ang kinikilala nila na language ay Java. No? But to answer the question, is it possible to create Android application? It depends on the application that you're going to design. It depends on the application. No? Pwede mo kasing pwede mo siyang, gagawa ka ng game. Na-mention natin kanina, di ba? Ang Python dapat hindi ko sabihin to pero I will tell you. Are you familiar with phone gap? Search nyo mamaya, phone gap. Phone gap. Yung phone gap kasi masakit yun eh. Masakit yun pagka hindi mo alam. Yung phone gap, ito yung tipo na pinag-design ka ng teacher mo sa Java, tapos gusto niya later lumatakbo sa PHP. Eh di mag-ano ka, magmamigrate ka talaga lahat. It's like you were going to rewrite everything. Phone gap is ganito. I-upload mo lang yung source code mo sa Java, pumili ka kung anong programming language, siya na ang bahala mag-generate. Siya na ang bahala mag-convert. Siya na bahala. Iko-convert niya lahat yon. Hindi mo na kailangan i-deal. Di ba? Yun nga lang. Although may mga inconsistency, may mga part doon na hindi mag-work ng tama-tama. Kasi syempre conversion naman yun eh. Machine yung nag-convert. So you have to be ilan mo siya. If there are inconsistencies, just a time for you to fix it. Pero napakaganda ng technology ngayon. Yun nga lang, hindi siya maganda doon sa mga nagpo-fundamentals. Halimbawa, si Pakingan nga ba, yung ating isa sa mga host, si John Francis, gusto maging teacher niya ng programming, hindi ka pwede. Kasi mangyayari niyan sa iyo, bago ka mag-lesson, mag-YouTube ka muna. Bakit? Ang dali mong ginawa yung program eh, hindi mo alam kung paano siya gumagana. 'Di ba? Kasi ang dami ng tools eh. Sobrang dami ng tools. I don't know if you have heard this. Ay sanay na ba kayo ng Unity, 'di ba? Alam niyo Unity, paggawa ng game, pag-develop ng game, drag and drop lang din siya. Drag and drop lang siya. Nagagawa ka ng game, drag and drop. Tapos yung source kung copyahin mo lang sa Google, maraming community na nag-o-offer niyan, 'di ba? Pero to answer the question, yes, you can do that. Nag-i-intervene naman siya, nag-cross-platform siya. Hindi siya katulad, at saka ito pala maganda, no? Ito pala yung maganda ngayon. Nag-merge na sila. Imagine, dati ang Microsoft ay competing, they bridge it, no? Gumawa sila ng version na pwede kay Mac at pwede kay Linux. No? Para mas marami silang audience, mas marami silang customer. Diba? Ito nakikita natin, nag-merge na sila. So meron yan. You can work with Python in the development of Android applications. Yes. Ang medyo mahigpit lang ngayon si Apple eh. Medyo mahigpit.
Madamot kasi yan, sir.
Sagrado kasi sa kanila yung source code. Sagrado. Parang ganito, no? Yung open source kasi, parang ganito yun. Gagawa ko ng program, if I will label it as open source, papayagan ko si John Francis na magawa ng changes. Pag binili ni John Francis, sir, parang mas mapapadali ko to pag nilagay ko tong code na to. Okay, nilagay niya, tumakbo, gumanda nga, no? Ang tanong, sino ba to si John Francis? Para baguhin yung source code ko. Diba? Si Apple, ganun ang logic niya. Sino ka ba? Diba? The only people who will touch our codes is our programmers. Kasi baka naman si John Francis, gumagana one way yung kanyang ginawa. Pero yung epekto niya mas malala, di ba? Kasi gano'n kasagrado ang source code ni Apple. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So, move forward na po tayo sa ating second topic. Maraming salamat po, Sir Robel, sa pinaka magandang natin.
Ayun, as much as we want to acknowledge your questions po, we are very sorry kasi we are running out of time po. Gusto pa namin sanang makakwentuhan si Sir Rowell. Ayan.
Kung may tanong man kayo, doon sa email na lang ni Sir.
Yes.
Thank you. So, moving forward to our second topic. This speaker is 23 years old software engineer, Huawei developer expert, and co-founder and CEO of Pocket Devs, a development firm based in Cebu, specializing in custom software solution and digital transformation and branding. He helps small and medium-sized business and organization grow and streamline their processes, improve their online preference, and scale their operation through software solution. He also build a community of software developers that shares knowledge, mentorship, supports, and much more. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Brian Lim. Give him a round of applause. Give them a round of applause.
Ayan, good afternoon po, Sir Brian.
Afternoon, sir.
Hello. Let me
Ayan.
turn on my camera. Hey everyone. Thank you, John, for the introduction, and thank you, TUP Cavite, no, for the privilege of inviting me as your speaker for this topic, which is a walkthrough to web and software development. So, ayun, and also thank you to Mr. Wal. It was an amazing uh, talk giving an overview about Python. So it was a refresher for me na din since Python din yung favorite programming language ko. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna start my presentation. Hold on. Ayun. So yung PowerPoint yun lang i-share ko. All right. So this is the walkthrough to web and software development. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself again. I'm a software engineer, and I'm also awarded as a Huawei developer expert, and I co-founded and became the CEO of Pocket Devs, which is a company that provides software solutions to organizations, businesses, both local and international. All right, so let's begin. uh, ano ba yung ginagawa ng software developer? What do they do? So, ayun, from the name, software developer, they develop software. So software is very wide. So that includes yung desktop applications like Photoshop, Microsoft Word, ganun. Operating systems like yung Office nyo, Mac OS, Linux, distros, and so on. And then finally, we have mobile and web applications. So one common thing na tinatanong sa akin is, Kuya Brel, ano nga ba yung difference ng web developer and software developer? Well, web development is a subset of software development. So let's say parang nagsasabi ka na rin na you're a driver, and then what kind of driver? Are you a bus driver, train driver, motorcycle? Basta ganun, you get the point. So ayun, it's a subset of a software development. So uh, again, as mentioned by Mr. Well kanina, different languages have different purposes. Some are strong in one area and some are strong in another. So, most common talaga for desktop applications, yung ginagamit yung Java, C Sharp for Microsoft applications, and Python. Java and Python are both runs on all platforms, as mentioned by Sir. And then for web naman, for your front end, so you have JavaScript. And then for mobile, Swift, ginagamit for iOS, for the Apple ecosystem, Kotlin for Android or Java din, and then Dart. This was developed by Google bago lang, I think around 2016. So let's break down software into two parts. So first, you have your front-end development, and then you have your back-end development. To reference, I am a full-stack developer, so I do both front-end and then the back-end. So this is a simple uh, diagram on how the front end and back end works. So first, nakikita ba yung cursor ko? Yeah, I think nakikita. So first, you have your user. Eto kayo. So when you open your application or your website, ganun, what you see is the front end. So the front end is composed of the HTML, CSS, or JavaScript. So that's for the website. And then pwede na rin, the front end can also be applied to your mobile app. So that could be either in Flutter or in Java, ganun, on your Android or iOS devices. So that's your front end. So yung ginagawa niya, yung front end, so let's say you were to submit data, and one common application of submitting data is kapag nagla-login ka, di ba? When you log in, you enter your email and then your password. So that gets submitted to your backend. And then your backend contains na yung business logic mo. So that's where you use Python, Java, PHP, and all those server-side programming languages. So chine-check niya, ginagawa niya if chine-check niya yung request ng user from the front end if nandito ba yung email and password, nagma-match ba. So tinitingnan niya sa database if it matches, then it returns a response to the front end na sasabihin niya na all right, the user is in our database, let him in. So you get access to your Facebook account or your Twitter account and so on. So that's a basic um, architecture for your web application. There are other different kinds of architecture naman, pero this is one of the most common and probably the one that you'll be using na rin. Next, I'm going to talk about web development. So basically, the fundamentals for web development, especially in front end, is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So HTML is for your structure, CSS for your styling, and JavaScript for your interaction. So what we mean by this, kasi pag when you code in HTML, basically siya yung skeleton ng website mo. So you have your basic structure, ganun. Pero hindi siya maganda tignan kasi parang outline lang siya. So you use CSS for your styling. So you add colors and background effects, some animations, ganun. And then JavaScript naman comes in to um, provide interactions for your application. So let's say you were to click on a button, tas yung gagawin niya, it will change to green, it will change to blue, and then you can code it in JavaScript. So that's essentially the components for your front-end application. There are frameworks naman that we can use, as mentioned by the previous speaker. Then we can use React. How I use React, Vue, Angular, marami pa. So again, frameworks are basically tools to simplify or to speed up the development process. Kasi ba't ka naman magko-code from scratch, may template na, di ba? So you can use that pag gagawa ka ng application ng mabilisan. So you want, kasi andyan na lahat ng mga features. So it's a no-brainer to use a framework. Next is we'll be talking about mobile development. First, you have your native application, and then cross-platform. So, yung na-mention ko kanina, yung languages na Swift, Java, and Kotlin, those are native applications. So, if you were to code, gagawa ka ng Android application, i-code mo siya in Kotlin or Java. Tapos pag gagawa ka na naman ng iOS application, i-code mo siya in Swift or Objective-C. So, marami kang code base. So, let's say, sasabihin ng boss mo na, uy, Brel, update this, gawa ka ng bagong function, ganun. So, you have to update both code bases. So, i-code mo siya in Java or Kotlin, tapos i-code mo naman siya in Swift. And here's another thing. This is what we call cross-platform development. So cross-platform is basically a framework in where isa lang yung code base mo for both platforms. So yung source code mo for iOS and Android devices, isa lang para hindi ka na mag-modify or mag-update on both sides. So examples of cross-platform frameworks is Flutter. This was developed by Google, and React Native. This was developed by Facebook. So Flutter uses Dart, a programming language then, and then React Native uses JavaScript. So, ayan. And also, when you become a software developer, one thing to know then is how to use a version control system. Most commonly, Git. So when you code, madali lang kapag ikaw lang isa kasi you know kung ano yung na-change mo, ano yung mga nagawa mo, ano yung progress mo so far. Pero once you start working with a team, it gets really hard managing yung mga changes, ganun. Sinong naglagay ng ganitong function, sinong nag-remove ng ganitong feature. So we, as developers, we commonly use Git, and that's basically how we track yung changes and how we collaborate with our code base, with other developers then. And I'm not gonna go into detail on how to use Git kasi medyo mahabang topic na, and I believe we don't have any time. Pero Git is super useful. I recommend it even if student ka pa lang. Start learning Git, start integrating it with your projects na talaga. And then it was also mentioned before, open source software. Basically, open source means it's free to use, and then you can contribute to it. So let's say kaya mo pang pagandahin yung ginawa niya, so you can contribute to the project. So you can contribute by using Git then. And Git also stores all your code. So parang it's a storage for lahat ng mga projects na ginawa mo. You can either open it to public or private for yung mga confidential na projects. Alright, medyo mabilis. So, next we're gonna be talking about deploying your application. So, ayan, nagawa mo na yung application mo. Pero, where will you store it? Where will you store your code? Saan siya mag-run? So, there are three types that I commonly use. Number one is shared hosting. So, shared hosting is basically may server ka na i-rent, pero nakikihati ka with other um, websites din or other services. So medyo mabagal siya, pero if yung ilalagay mo lang is a simple website or business page or landing page, it does the job fine. Then here we have a virtual private server and then a dedicated server. So compared to the first one, which is a shared hosting, medyo pricey to kasi you get your own partition of a server. So yung mga cost niya can range from $20, $300 billed per month, annually, ganun. So it totally depends kung ilan yung traffic or ilan yung bibisita sa website mo or sa gagamit sa services sa application mo. Alright. Pero I'm not gonna be talking to detail kasi you need to understand how the deployment works. So I'm gonna share some of my works then and ano yung process na ginawa ko. So this is a mobile app that I've developed. So this is a recipe tracking app. So what it does is chine-check niya if ano yung mga ingredients in your pantry or in your kitchen. Tinitingnan niya kung may itlog ka, uh, salt, pepper, ganun. And then it generates a recipe or it suggests a recipe for you to cook based kung anong meron sa kitchen mo. Or yeah, so it suggests then yung functions niya, it uses an image API. So you just take a photo of your product or of your ingredient and then it automatically detects kung ano siya and then it adds it to your pantry or to your inventory. So this was made using Flutter. So again, Flutter is a cross-platform framework developed by Google. So isa lang code base lang for both iOS and Android. And then Firebase is a serverless function, pero medyo complicated na. But essentially, it's a backend for your front-end code. So this is also made by Google. Next is this one. Hindi ko pala nalagay yung names. But yung ginagawa niya, this is a web and mobile application. So ginagawa niya, you scan your ID and tinitingnan niya if legit ba or pineke mo ba, ganun. And this does not only apply to IDs, this also applies to most commonly ngayon, yung vaccination certificates or vaccination cards, ganun. Chine-check niya if legitimate ba. So this was coded using Golang and Python. So Python for the machine learning and so on. Then finally, again, Python na naman ulit. This is uh, a tracking software or a data analytics tool to understand kung ilan na ba yung sales and ilan na ba yung revenue ng isang company. Pero I'll just skip this one na lang. Medyo complicated. But yeah, so that was a quick run through of yung essentials in software development, in modern software development. So i-share ko na rin yung software development journey ko, seeing as most of the participants are I think first year students, tama ba? Or hindi? Or
Yes,
graduating? Yeah. So yeah, so as first year students, IT ba or hindi? Or Computer science.
Co-ed po, computer
Co-ed
engineer.
po.
Okay, okay.
Mostly
So,
po, sir, ng
IT sir.
participants.
so you enrolled in this course knowing that there will be programming. Ako, I enrolled because uh, gusto ko talaga gumawa ng application. So my passion for programming started when I was 15. Uh, hindi ko pa talaga alam kung ano yung programming nun. Yung gusto ko lang talaga gawin is how to make games. So I just fourth year fourth year high school pa ako nun. I think wala pang senior high nun. I think that's grade 10 ako nun. And I wanted to make a game to show my friends, ganun. So I learned uh, Unity online. So, pero hindi pa ako masyadong magaling nun. So, I just made a simple game and then showed it to my friends. And uh, uh, I know, it made me happy that they appreciated it. So, naturally, nung nag-college na ako, I looked for a course that would allow me to practice more in programming. So, I enrolled in the University of San Carlos in Cebu as in a degree in information technology. So again, yung sinabi din ni Mr. Well na the fundamentals is super important. So fundamentals include yung variables, functions, loops, um, ganun. So once you master that, uh, your choice of programming language should not be an issue. Kasi universal yan eh. Lahat ng programming languages have those concepts. So once you master those, you get to easily transition to another programming language. And ayun, so my first programming language done was C. So C is compared to Python, C is a low-level programming language. So you have to handle memory management, ganun. Yung syntax niya medyo mahirap. Yung 10 lines of code in C can easily be coded in one line of code in Python, ganun. Pero it helped me understand how the software or how the program works. Then after that, I studied web development, so HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then PHP. I learned database, ganun. And so I graduated back in 2019 with a degree in information technology. Yeah, so that's me. And um, so I landed my first job as a software engineer. So yung job description ko talaga was to make a full stack application for a business so that yung mga internal process nila. So uh, it was fun for a while, but eventually medyo na burn out na ako with the projects. Medyo the reason why I started programming was to make uh, projects na I'm passionate in, na something that's fun for me. Na kasi pag yan yung totally na sinasabi ko for the beginners, when you start programming, you always have a passion, sure you have an eagerness to learn, and that's the reason why I quit my first job. It was a high paying job. The salary was never an issue. So I started freelancing. So freelancing is where you do software development projects. So I get to work with projects na like blockchain apps, um, mobile apps for different organizations and businesses. Then after that, medyo marami-rami na yung projects and clients. So we started a development agency. So together with my co-founders. So we started Pocket Dev. So we build software solutions for businesses and organizations locally and internationally. So we've been operating for around 2 years now, more than 2 years, and it's been fun so far. Then also on my spare time, I create content on TikTok, YouTube, Medium, and related to programming. Plus, my Discord community din tayo, which has now over 7,000 members. So, yung Discord community is super helpful kasi you can communicate with your friends, talaga, experts din, beginners, na they can share tips, ask for help, programming questions, ganun. And we collaborate. So, yeah, I'm very proud of our Discord community. So, again, if you really want to be a programmer, or to be a software developer, yung kailangan mo lang talaga is an eagerness to learn. So, a career in software, hindi ibig sabihin na nag-graduate ka na, okay na, hindi ka na mag-aaral. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to keep learning every day. You have to be a lifelong learner. Kasi technology is evolving every day, pabago-bago. Every week, may bagong framework na naman, may bagong tool na naman. And dapat, you have to be updated. Otherwise, malaleft behind ka. Yung tools mo outdated na, you won't be hired anywhere or you can't make any useful applications. Ganun. So, yeah. And, ayun, so, yung ma-recommend ko lang kasi first year pa kayo, um, before you start coding, make sure na you understand the problem. So, dati, nung first year ako, we were coding sa yellow pad. Yellow pad. So, dati yung mali ko, I just started coding right away. I didn't visualize or I didn't totally understand the problem. So, one strategy that worked for me was to make a flowchart muna of how the program would work, and then the code will follow. Kasi coding is super easy. Yung mahirap lang is understanding and formulating the algorithm. So, ayun. And I guess that concludes my presentation. It's super short lang kasi we don't have any more time. So, I'm very interested to hearing your questions. So, yeah.
So,
Uh,
thank you Sir Ryle sa napakagandang speak natin at poging-pogi si Sir, no? Mariel.
Yes naman. Ang daming nakaka-recognize sa kanya sa ating FB Live.
Yes, sa
TikTok reveal daw,
TikTokers.
sir. TikTok reveal.
may FB live.
Yes, may
Opo,
FB
yan.
Live po tayo, Sir.
We are live po sa FB.
So, yung mga may question po, pwede po tayong dyan sa comment box. And sa FB Live po, pwede po kayong mag-comment din po dyan. Para po natin.
Thank you, Jarl, Vanessa, and Maribel, Marlene. Thank you.
My early notice si sir.
Kasi nababasa ko sa chat eh. Hi, Gladys, John Lloyd, and Ural. Hopefully you had something to learn sa presentation ko earlier. If you feel free to join our Discord server or email me if may
Sir, may tanong na po tayo sa galing sa FB Live. Ano daw po ang
good question. So, compared to other professions, getting a job, a high-paying job in this industry is hindi mahirap. The industry is super in demand. So, what I advise to fresh graduates, kasi ako noon, when I was graduating, I was already applying to several companies na. So, when I graduated, I took on the job na yung syempre, yung pinakamalaking compensation. So, yun yung pinili ko. So, if you're a graduating student, I suggest na i-polish mo na yung resume mo. If may mga school projects ka or other software projects, create a portfolio. I suggest make a portfolio website. You can use mine as a reference. Then, ilagay mo dun yung mga nagawa mo, add some description. Kahit school project, it's totally fine. And then after that, you have to be, kasi once you polish your resume, that's just one step in the application process. You have to, next is the interview. So you can practice with your friends, yung data structure skills mo. It totally depends on what role you're applying. So, ayun. kasi gumagamit ako ng serverless so I use Firebase pero mainly yung ginagamit ko for backend is Laravel. So that's a PHP framework and then Express na din. So I do hope that answers your question.
So, next question po galing kay Tricia May Farina. Ano po yung pinakamahirap na challenge na na-encounter nyo po and paano nyo po na-handle yan?
Pinakamahirap. Yeah, so I think I'll just share this. This is the first time I'm sharing this. So nung fourth year college ako, yung capstone namin is related ng university. So yung I was developing the database for it. So I accidentally deleted a very important database na ginagamit sa school. Pero ayun, it was super challenging. Pero buti na lang yung dating mentor ko, he has a backup. Pero I had to update some rows to it. So what I learned about that was always do some backups of your files, no? Kasi super stressful, hindi ka nakakatulog, ganun. And ayun, back up your files and double check what you do, especially when working on a production environment. Ayun. And it's not the end of the world. You can always overcome.
Sir, pwede
Ayan.
ba magtanong tayo ng ano daw? Sa Facebook kasi in demand kasi itong question na to, sir eh. Pwede mo
Yeah,
naman pwede mo naman po hindi siya sagutin, sir.
It was personal question.
Personal question, sir, pero in demand sa Facebook, sir eh.
Sa ngayon, I'm really super focused on building
Yes.
Pocket Dev. So, medyo wala pa akong time for that. Medyo nagko-code lang tayo buong araw, nasa bahay lang, ganun. So, baka soon in the future, makahanap tayo. Pero work on yourself and then eventually, yung tao na yan, dadating din, di ba?
Ayan po, sir.
Ayan,
And
sir. Thank you, sir. Yun
sabi
po,
po, wait, basahin ko na lang. Sabi ni Sir Roel. Andito pa si Sir Roel. Sabi niya is earn a lot of certifications then to show your progress and versatility. Tama si Sir Bryle na mag-build kayo ng portfolio maybe to do pro bono works for organizations who are in the need of a program.
Yeah. So it totally depends kung anong role ang ina-applyan nyo. So if let's say you're applying for a front-end developer, then syempre kailangan nila makita kung ano yung nagawa mong front-end development projects like websites, web apps, ganun. Pero let's say yung career na hatakin mo is cyber security or networking. If you're planning to become a network engineer, then certifications in those fields are super important then. Pero you have to study hard for it kasi medyo mahirap siya and then it costs money then for those certifications. Ayun.
Ayun, sir.
So,
I hope. Yes.
So, come up po tayo sa last question, sir. From Digia Justin Ryan. Sir, pwede po magtanong about how Sir Bryle choose the correct frameworks to use different projects. Web frameworks to be exact po pala.
Right. So, in the software development life cycle, that's what we call it. First is the planning phase. So, pinaplan mo kung ano yung tools and stack na gagamitin mo. So, in a project, yung kinoconsider ko is just gonna be static project like portfolio website or landing page lang. If ganun, then gagamit na lang ako ng website builder like Webflow, WordPress, ganun. Pero if it has some dynamic element, so I already have a boilerplate for myself na I coded with Laravel. So yan yung ginagamit ko. Pero kino-consider ko din if it does it have real-time elements like yung messaging, nagcha-chat ka, video conferencing, ganun. For those, I use Node.js. Pero yeah, so if mobile, then my go-to is Flutter. So So yeah, those are some of my considerations. And if also I'm working with a team or solo lang ako. Ganun. Yeah.
So thank you, Sir Brad, for answering for those questions, sir. Uh, Ngayon, dadao na tayo sa giving the certificate. Hmm. May I call on Sir Arnold De Vega for this for the certification for the speaker.
Yes, yes, Jan, paki-present naman yung certificate natin.
Sir Brad, may I ask to end your presentation?
Yeah, sorry. Naka-share.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so thank you very much, Sir Bryles and Sir Ruel. So that was very exciting topics. Medyo nabitin tayo kasi medyo kulang yung oras natin. Siguro in the future, magkakaroon tayo talaga ng full webinar series for Python and other software programs. All right, so John Mark, paano ng John Francis, okay. So I would like to present the certification of appreciation for Sir Bryle Kester Lim and Sir Ruel Marquina. So this certificate is proudly presented to Bryle Kester Lim and Ruel Marquina for his phenomenal and worthy presentation on the webinar entitled Current Trends and Issues on Computer and Information Technology. The topic, Walkthrough Web Software Development. Given this 10th day of February 2022 at Technological University of the Philippines, Cavite, signed by Sean Lester Labirias, class president, and Mariel Romero, and myself, Arnold De Vega, the subject teacher for MetWat. Thank you very much, sir. Sir Bryle.
Thank you din. Thank you, Sir Arnold. Thanks for having me.
Ayun, thank you po. Thank you po for that wonderful and informative talk.
Thank you, thank you. And dami namin natutunan sa dalawang speaker na yan.
Yes.
Ang gagaling po na. At ang popogi pa, di ba?
Oh.
Then, dadawo na tayo sa ating closing
Yes.
remarks. Yan na.
And now for our closing remarks, may I call on our President, Sean Lester Lavarias, for his closing remarks.
Hello guys, rinig ba ako?
Clear, clear.
Thank you everyone. Good afternoon everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to give our warmest gratitude to our speaker for today, Mr. Bryle Lim and Mr. Roel L. Marquina, for giving us a truly remarkable webinar that can help us progress in our own tracks. I would also like to thank our advisor, Sir Angelo, for guiding us in conducting this webinar. And lastly, to our team for making this webinar possible. I hope everyone has gained the knowledge that they can use in their perspective field. Again, thank you for all the attendees of this webinar. That's all. God bless.
So, remember guys na we have evaluation form po sa after neto. Pakisagot po to lahat. Then, yun po. Mariel.
Ayun guys, and if you have more questions, yan, open na open po ang ating Facebook page, TUP Cavite, and we will try po to answer yung mga questions nyo po. Ayan, yung evaluation form po natin is nandito sa comment box, and sa Facebook naman po is nasa ating comment section.
May I request na mag-open cam tayo lahat para sa ating photo op.
Yes, for the first picture taking. May natutunan po ba kayo guys? Syempre naman, may maraming natutunan yung mga yan.
Syempre. Pwede po mga off-cam po tayo.
Yes, off-cam.
Ay,
on-cam.
On-cam. Sorry.
Mukhang masasaya sila lahat ah.
Happy and
Happy.
popogi din. At ang gaganda, di ba?
Pwede po ba kami makahingi ng update kung ilan ang ating mga participants sa iba nating meeting links? Arch, nandito ba si Arch?
Hello. Hello, currently meron tayong 422 kasama yung meet 1 natin hanggang number 5.
Yes,
Ayan.
congratulations sa atin, guys.
And sa ating FB Live, ilan tayo ngayon? Ilan ang nanonood ngayon?
Sa FB
Nasa
Live
100
meron tayong
plus.
183 na viewers.
Wow.
Ayun.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay. One.
Thank you, thank you.
Sana all. Hello po. Thank you po sa lahat ng umattend. Thank you. Hello, this is room 1. Hi, Jen. Thank you. Hello, Kenneth Sulit. Thank you. Kita tayo ulit sa next webinar natin. Hello, thank you, Mao. Thank you, Ferdinand. Thank you, Ferdinand. Joshua. Thank you, Angela. Thank you. Hello, Archie. Hello. Question lang po, same link po ba para sa webinar 2 to 4? Hello, Archie. Hindi kami same ng link. They will be providing you with a different link. Wait na lang natin sila sa page ng TUP Cavite. Hello, Abigail Reyes. Thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Arian Eden. Thank you. Thank you, JL Mar. Thank you. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, thank you. Guys, advice ko lang kayo na if
So, yun, thank you everyone for attending for our webinar. I hope na madami kayong natutunan sa araw na ito. At sayang, kulang tayo sa oras at di tayo nakapag-enjoy.
Ayan, once again, ang ating pong evaluation form ay nandito sa ating comment box or message box. Once again, I am Mariel P. Romero.
I'm John Francis Pakingan, signing
Signing
off. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
And guys, before leaving our meet, remind ko lang ulit
Thank you
kayo
po.
na you should fill
Thank you
up
po.
yung
Thank you,
evaluation
guys.
forms
Thank you po.
since hindi kayo mabibigyan ng certificates. So fill up nyo muna sa evaluation form para ma-email namin sa inyo ang inyong mga e-certificates. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for attending.